So in this video, we're gonna discuss about the midpoint formula. So if our point A has coordinate x sub 1 and y sub 1, and our point B has the coordinate of x sub 2 and y sub 2, are any 2 points on the coordinate plane, then the midpoint of AB, of line AB, has the coordinates of x sub 1 plus x sub 2 over 2 and y sub 1 plus y sub 2 over 2. So this is the midpoint formula. Again, the midpoint formula is x sub 1 plus x sub 2 over 2 and y sub 1 plus y sub 2 over 2. So again, if we have our plane, so if this is our coordinate plane or Cartesian plane, and if this is our point B that has a coordinate of x sub 2 and y sub 2, and this is our point A that has a coordinate of x sub 1 and y sub 1. And example, so let's say this is the midpoint, or this is our midpoint. So the coordinate of our midpoint is x sub 1 plus x sub 2 over 2, then y sub 1 plus y sub 2 over 2. So that's how to determine the midpoint using this formula. Okay, like for example, find the coordinate of the midpoint C. Okay, midpoint C of line AT. For A has a coordinate of 9 and 2, and T has the coordinate of 1 and 0. Again, solution. To determine the midpoint, let x sub 1 is equal to 9. Our y sub 2 is equal to, let's say y sub 1 rather. Y sub 1 is equal to 2, and our x sub 2 is equal to 1, and our y sub 2 is equal to 0. Again, using the midpoint formula, so x sub 1 plus x sub 2 over 2 is equal to 9 plus 1 over 2 is equal to 10 over 2, which is equal to 5, and y sub 1 plus y sub 2 over 2 is equal to 2 plus 0 over 2 is equal to 2 over 2, which is equal to 1. So thus, the midpoint of C, or the midpoint C of AT, has the coordinates of 5 and 1. Next, let's try another example. Okay, again, another example. For the midpoint formula, find the midpoint. Midpoint J of line KL, where K has coordinate of 7 and 5, and L has coordinate of 3 and 2. No, let's say again, not 2. Sorry. Okay, 3 and 11. So again, let for the solution, let x sub 1 is equal to 7, y sub 1 is equal to 5, x sub 2 is equal to 3, and y sub 2 is equal to 11. Again, use the midpoint formula. So the midpoint j is x sub 1 plus x sub 2 over 2, and then y sub 1 plus y sub 2 over 2, which is equal to, our x sub 1 is 7 plus 3 over 2, and 5 plus 11 over 2, which is equal to 10 over 2 and 16 over 2. Then therefore, thus the midpoint J of line KL is 5 and 8. The coordinates of the midpoint J of line KL is 5 and 8. How about this one? If we have like this, how we are going to identify or how we are going to find the coordinate of the midpoint? If we have line on our plane, let's say we need to find the coordinate of the midpoint between here, or the midpoint of C and D. So the midpoint of C and D. But again, the first thing that we need to do is or identify the coordinate of C. So ano yung coordinate? So what's the coordinate of C? C has coordinates of, okay, try to look at this one. So we have -3 and 2. How about our D? Our D has coordinate of -1 and 1. So -1 and 1. So that's the coordinate of our C and D. And now we can identify the midpoint of a line CD. So let's say this is our midpoint. Again, using the formula. So x sub 1 plus x sub 2 over 2, then y sub 1 plus y sub 2 over 2 is equal to, our x sub 1 is -3, so -3 plus our x sub 2 is -1 over 2, and our y sub 1 is 2 plus our y sub 2 is 1 over 2. So is equal to -3 plus -1, we have -4 over 2, and 2 plus 1 is 3 over 2, which is equal to -2 and 3/2. So if this is the midpoint, so the coordinate of our midpoint is -2 and 3/2. So that's how to solve the midpoint of a line between 2 points, or the midpoint of a line using the midpoint formula. I hope that you've learned a lot.